would you do if you found the maid in your house crying over your father, and then she revealed a truth that made your whole life feel like a lie? This isn't just another story about money or power. It's about the one thing that can't be bought: sacrifice. Ethan Wallace was a millionaire who thought he had built his world by himself. But the night he saw his maid weeping beside his dying father, her words ripped his pride apart and forced him to see what he had been, blind to his entire life. Ethan's world of pride. Ethan Wallace was the type of man people noticed. Designer suits, luxury cars, and a reputation for winning at any cost. He sat at the top of the Wallace empire: real estate, investments, stocks. To outsiders, he was the perfect example of a self-made success story. But the truth? He had been born into privilege. His father, Harold Wallace, was once a respected businessman himself, building the foundation Ethan now walked upon. But Ethan never admitted that. He preferred the story that he had done it all alone. At the mansion there was one constant presence: Maria, the maid. She had been working in their household for nearly 20 years. She wore plain clothes, spoke softly, and never demanded anything. To Ethan, she was invisible. Someone to clean the glass, serve the meals, and fade into the background. He didn't hate her. He just didn't see her. Oh! A strange sound in the night. One rainy evening, Ethan returned from a trip earlier than planned. He dragged his suitcase across the polished marble floor, expecting silence. Instead, he heard a sound: soft, muffled sobs. They came from his father's room. Confused, Ethan pushed open the door. What he saw froze him. Maria sat at Harold's bedside, holding his frail hand, tears streaming down her cheeks. She wasn't dusting or arranging blankets. She was clutching Harold's hand like a woman terrified of losing the man she loved. For a long second, Ethan couldn't move. He wanted to bark, "What do you think you're doing?" But something about her sorrow made his throat tighten. Oh! The first confrontation. Finally, his voice cracked through the silence. "Why are you crying like that?" Maria startled but didn't let go of Harold's hand. Her voice trembled. "Because your father means more to me than you'll ever understand." Ethan frowned. More to her? She was just the maid. That was all. Harold stirred, his weak voice rasping. "Leave her be, Ethan. She has every right to cry." But Ethan stepped forward, his chest burning. "Dad, what's going on? Why is she acting like this?" Maria's eyes filled again. "Because I've carried the truth for far too long. And if I don't speak now, it will be buried with him." Oh! A past unveiled. The words shook Ethan. His prideful mind raced. "What truth?" he demanded. Maria took a shaky breath. "When your mother passed away, I came here as a caretaker. I was meant to help you both through grief. But in that brokenness, I stayed not as a servant, but because I loved him. And he loved me." Ethan's breath caught. He looked at Harold, expecting denial. But Harold's tired eyes turned toward Maria with tenderness Ethan had never seen. Maria continued, tears dripping. "I wasn't just the maid. I was the one who kept this house alive. I cooked. I cleaned. I raised you when Harold was too consumed with his business. I sat by your bedside when you were sick. I prayed for you at night. And I kept this family together in silence. Not for money. Not for recognition. But because of love." Oh! Flashbacks Ethan ignored. Ethan's mind reeled. Suddenly memories surfaced. He remembered being 10 years old, burning with fever. He had thought a nurse was caring for him. But now he realized it had been Maria's gentle hands on his forehead. He remembered soccer practice in high school, his uniform always clean, his meals always warm. He had assumed it was just done. But now he saw Maria in every detail. He remembered his graduation, Harold busy shaking hands with businessmen, while Maria clapped quietly at the back. He had dismissed her applause, but now he realized hers was the loudest love in that room. The realization hit like thunder. Maria had always been there, but he had never once seen her. Oh! Ethan's anger. "Why didn't you tell me?" Ethan's voice cracked with both rage and shame. Maria's shoulders shook. "Because you were a boy grieving your mother. Later you were a young man building your empire. You never looked at me as more than the maid. I couldn't force my truth into your world. I chose silence. But I treated you like you were nothing." Ethan's eyes burned. Maria's lips trembled. Love doesn't always demand recognition. Sometimes the greatest love is the one that stays quiet. So the other can shine. The room grew still. Harold's breathing was shallow. Then, with all the strength left in him, Harold whispered, "Son, if you can't see what she has done for us, then all your money means nothing." The words crushed Ethan's chest. He turned back to Maria. She sat there, worn by grief but glowing with quiet dignity. And then something inside Ethan broke. The man who towered in boardrooms, who never bowed to anyone, dropped to his knees before her. His voice cracked. "I'm sorry. I was blind. I never saw you, not really. Forgive me." Tears streamed down Maria's face. She reached out, placing a trembling hand on his head. "It's not forgiveness you need, Ethan," she whispered. "It's understanding. Wealth fades, but sacrifice is what makes us rich." After Harold's death, weeks later, Harold passed away. The funeral was elegant, filled with business partners, politicians, and friends. But Ethan noticed one thing. None of them cried the way Maria did. And for the first time, Ethan stood beside her. Not above her, beside her. He introduced her not as the maid, but as the woman who had cared for his father, his house, and even him with a love deeper than words. People were shocked. Whispers spread. But Ethan didn't care. For the first time, he wasn't living for approval. He was living for truth. From that day forward, Ethan changed. He no longer measured his worth in money. He began spending real time with Maria, listening to her stories, asking her advice. He realized she knew his father better than anyone else, and maybe she knew him better too. He stopped introducing her as a maid. Instead, he called her family. He even started funding programs for domestic workers, building scholarships for their children, and speaking publicly about the dignity of hidden sacrifices, because now he understood behind every self-made man, there are silent hands holding him up. This isn't just a story about a maid and a millionaire. It's a reminder about gratitude. We live our lives assuming success is our own doing, but so often the quiet sacrifices of others are the reason we stand tall. Maria's tears forced Ethan to see what he had ignored. That the richest man in the room isn't the one with money, but the one who finally sees the love that's been holding him up all along. So look around you today. Who's quietly keeping your world together? Don't wait for a deathbed confession to realize their worth. See them, thank them, love them before it's too late. If this story moved you, don't stop here. Tap the next video on your screen and keep watching.